He was driving home one evening on a two-lane country road. Work in this small Midwestern community was almost as slow as his beat of Pontiac, but he never quit looking. Ever since the Levi's factory closed, he's been unemployed, and with winter raging on, the chill had finally hit home.
It was a lovely road. Not very many people had a reason to be on it, unless they were leaving. Most of his friends had already left. They had family to feed and dreams to fulfill. But he stayed on after all. This was where he buried his mother and father. He was born here and knew the country. He could go down this road blind and tell you what was on either side, out with his headlights on working. That came in handy. It was starting to get dark, and light snow flurries were coming down.
You know, he almost didn't see the old lady, stranded on the side of the road, but even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled up in the front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering. When he approached her, even with the smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help for the last hour or so. Was he going to hurt her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. He could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was that chill that only fear can put in you. He said, "I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? By the way, my name is Joe."
Well, all she had was a fighter, but for an old lady, that was bad enough. You crawled under the car looking for a place to put a jack. Skinny his mouth time or two, so she was able to change the tire, but he had difficulty on his hands for as he was admitted up the loner. She rolled down her window and began to talk to him. She told him that she was from St. Louis and was only just passing through. She could thank him enough for coming to her aid. You just smiled as he closed her trunk.
She asked him how much she owed him. Any amount would have been alright with her. She had already made all of all things that could happen had he not stopped. You never thought twice about the money. This was not a help to him. This was helping someone in need. And God knows there were plenty who had given him a hand in the past. He had learned his whole life that way, and it never occurred him to act any other way. He told her that if he really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she would give that person the assistance that they needed. And you added, "And think of me," he waited until she started her car and drove off.
It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed for home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and take the chill off before she made the last leg of her trip home. It was a dignified-looking restaurant. Outside were 2 old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The cash register was like the telephone of an out-of-work actor. It didn't ring much. Her waitress came over and brought a clean towel to wipe her wet hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet for the whole day couldn't erase. The lady noticed that the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she never let the strain and aches change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone who had so little could be so giving to a stranger.
Then she remembered you after the lady finished her meal, and the waitress went to get her change from $100 bill. The lady slipped right out the door. He was gone by the time the waitress came back. She wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on a napkin. There were tears at her eyes. When she read what the lady wrote, it said, "You don't owe me a thing, I've been there too. Someone once helped me out the way I'm helping you. If you really want to pay me back, here what you do. Don't let the chain of love end with you."
Well, there were tables to clean, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve. But the waitress made it through another that night, when she got home from work and climbed into bed. She was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could she have known how much she and husband needed it? With a baby too, next month it was going to be. Had she knew how worried her husband was, and as he lay sleeping to next her, she gave him a soft kiss and whispered soft